Good morning, afternooning,
Yeah, good day.
martining.
Good day to
Good
you. Good
day to
day, Lisa.
you. How are you, my friend?
I am awesome. How are you doing?
Not as awesome as you, but
Oh, well, I
I'm
just say
fine.
awesome because, why not?
Hey, you know what? I just realized when you said that, you haven't said awesome as much as you used to.
No, awesome.
It's awesome. Good work. Anyway,
Yay,
yeah.
me.
Yeah, you. Um,
That's a
we
cause for
I
celebration.
agree with you. It's an awesome thing to celebrate. Whoop, whoop.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Woo, woo, woo. Cheers.
I'm glad we can have a party when I'm in my study and you're in your closet or whatever you're.
I'm not in a closet. I'm in my bedroom.
Oh, sorry. I only see the corner. You're just in a
Yeah,
corner.
I know. I'm just in a corner. I'm just in a corner. It works all right.
Sit in the corner
But
and think about
there
what
you go.
you've
It's
done.
better than my laundry room
I
because
agree it's better than your
where
laundry.
that's where I started recording.
Yes. Well, you have bounced around a lot in your
I
apartment.
have
Yeah.
kitchen, dining room,
Mm,
living room.
yes. And now you're in
I
the
think I
bedroom.
may have recorded once in our walk-in closet as well. So
You,
I feel like
you
I did that
recorded in the
once.
guest room, also in the office.
Yes, I have. Yep.
Yep.
Yep. That's true. So pretty much every single room in my house I
Every-
have recorded, except the bathrooms, which is probably a very good thing.
Well, I guess it depends. There could be some really good acoustics in there.
Maybe, maybe. So
Maybe.
there you go.
Tell me a little bit about what we're going to be learning about today.
Oh, well, I'm so excited about today's episode, to be honest with you, because we are diving into the world of sourdough today. And,
Mm.
really, depending on who you ask, it's either a really great process and people love it and they are like in their sourdough era. And
Mhm.
then there are other people who are like, ah! And so I thought this might be a really good time to get somebody who actually knows sourdough
Yeah.
and hopefully she can make it all make sense for us and make it
That's
less crazy
daunting,
or less
intimidating,
or daunting and
stressful.
intimidating, exactly, and make it more, wait for
And
it, awesome.
oh, she did it.
I did it. I
No,
had to.
you were
I had to. the
shocked.
door the door
I
was
wasn't
wide open.
even expecting it. Well
There
done.
you
Very
go.
well
You
done.
Yes, thank you, thank you.
Yes.
But we're really excited because we're going to be joined by Claire Watson, who is a sourdough expert who somehow makes the whole process look so calm and controlled and really almost a little magical. And don't we all need a little sourdough magic in our life,
Sourdough is magic. I just am
isn't
glad
it?
that other people bake it because I do not do well with it. So maybe Claire can rescue me. We shall
Maybe
see.
sh- that would be awesome because it is so magical that bread, or not bread, sorry, flour, water, a little bit of salt, and you get
And
all this
time.
magic.
It's true.
Yeah,
It's very
time and process. But,
true.
it's
Yeah.
all worth it.
Yeah, it really is. I'm looking forward to talking with her. All right, let's welcome Claire Watson.
Oh, Claire, we are so excited to have you. So we're going to jump right into this because I know that there are so many questions out there about sourdough and you being the expert and helping us break it all down. This is awesome. So let's start from the beginning. How did you fall down the sourdough rabbit hole? How did it
Um,
all start for you?
well, my very first experience was in pastry school at the Pastry Training Center of Vancouver with Chef Marco. He set up Northwest Baking School on Main Street. And yeah, he's like fifth generation baker
Wow.
from his father.
Oh,
And in Germany,
incredible.
it's an apprenticeship program, like a 3-year apprenticeship program. But he didn't want to go in the family biz, so he hopped on his bike, ended up in Lyon, learned how to make chocolate, and then hopped into, I don't know what the hotel company is, the one that Trump has in Ireland or Scotland or something. He
Mm.
got into that hotel group and traveled around the world. So he explained flour with the protein and how it varies in different areas. And the only way you can control it is testing how to get the gluten content to a gauge on how your dough is going to behave. And then I turned 40 August, but July of 2019. I'm like, well, this is my midlife crisis. I'm going to start the sourdough starter that my mother-in-law brought back from Alaska, the Gold Rush sourdough. But because I already had experience in pastry school with a whole segment on sourdough, I was
Mhm.
one step ahead, but it was about 3-4 years since I worked with it. So yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And
My
it just,
starter name is Linda because I
oh,
thought
Linda.
she was dead. And I was like, listen, Linda. Well, my husband came in. I did a
listen,
thing.
Linda.
And he's like, what are you
Linda.
doing to Linda? I'm like, I'm feeding Linda. And if she shows no sign of life, she's going into the compost. And the next day she took off and then I could bake bread with it. So
Wow.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
Linda survived. Linda's a
yeah.
survivor.
Yeah, now I'm naming her Linda Summit because she's got a bit of Summit sourdough from Edmonton in her now because I'm an ambassador at Summit sourdough. So yeah. So
Linda Summit. I
Oh, she
like
got a
it.
last
I like
name
it.
now.
Okay,
yeah.
but let's talk about the starter because it
Mhm.
kind of is a bit of a high maintenance pet. So this is where people start to spiral. And tell me, why do starters feel so intimidating? It's just flour and water, but like for me, it's chaos.
Well, technically it takes less than a minute to feed one, but it takes almost 6 months to understand one. So
It's
I
a
was
long-term commitment.
well,
Yeah.
it is and it isn't. I was taught by Chef Marco to feed it daily for a year because then you'll learn the seasonal changes, which will
Mm.
start begin like it
Mm.
died, like bodily fluids and stuff. That's just a seasonal change. It will behave differently in the winter and the summer. Sometimes winter is stronger than the summer because too hot can kill bugs, too low
Yeah.
can kill bugs or lay dormant. 99% of the time, it's temperature and how you're maintaining it. If you want to follow the lazy method and always keep it in the fridge, it's going to behave how you treat it. So if you feed
Mhm.
it, most people, like I feed mine almost twice a day, once a day. It just
Oh,
depends on, but it takes less than a minute. I feed it
Yeah.
in the
yeah.
morning while I'm making my Nespresso, see if I could beat the pour out, let it be, and then come back around dinner time. And if I want to mix something up, great. If not, then I'll feed it that night and get it ready for the next day. It's just a matter of like putting it into your lifestyle, like anything, if you're
Yeah.
going to exercise or all that
Mhm.
kind of stuff, right?
But
Yeah,
are you
that's fair.
you're just mixing the flour and water and adding it in, or are you taking stuff out first?
You always
Every
have to
time.
you always have to discard because
Yeah.
otherwise you're going to end up with
Yeah.
buckets. Because at the minimum you need a 1-to-1-to-1 ratio, one
Okay.
part starter, and of that one part, say you have 100 dogs, they also need 100 grams of flour and 100 grams of water. But most of the time people shift the ratio to like a 1 to 5 to 5. So those 10 dogs or 100 dogs is getting 5 times the water and 5 times the thing. So they can be happy
Right.
for a
Okay.
longer
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
So
makes
is
sense.
that a happier starter then if you are doing the 1 to 5 to 5, or I've even seen 1 to 10 to 10 that
Yeah.
people use too. So what
Yeah.
what what would
So,
your recommendation be? And is that something that can happen like when your starter's ready, or is that something you build up to as your starter matures?
well, it's all of it. So, depending on where you are in the world, I got students in New Zealand and Australia. They're heading into fall and winter. So, their maintenance will look different, whereas
Hmm.
we're heading into the summer. So, the colder it is, the higher the ratio, the 1 to 1 to 1. And then, or no, so the lower the ratio, I mean. And then in the summer, you want to do a 1 to 5 to 5. Some people do a 1 to 10 to 10. Some people do a 1 to 15 to 15. And they're
Wow.
keeping it in the fridge because they're in Australia and Kentucky and somewhere down south, right? Feed it ice water, keep the temperature. 28
Wow.
degrees Celsius is the magic number. That's the magic
Okay.
number for fermentation. That's the magic number for getting to the yeast to grow. Because when you're maintaining a starter, bacteria is always going to be there. It doesn't really matter. You're ramping up the starter to get a lot of yeast.
Mhm.
So to make the bread. So you're either doing active yeast, right? You have to refresh it before you could bake if you use the slower yeast, not the instant. The same thing with your starter. It just takes longer. So,
Right. That makes
Okay.
sense. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
in theory, to make a loaf of bread is only 10 minutes hands-on time, depending on the
Mhm.
recipe you're doing. And some
Yeah.
people get daunting that, oh, I have to do um, stretch and folds and turns. Well, you gotta blame Jim Leahy for that, because he's the one who created the no knead bread way back in 2007. And then Tartine came out, and all the pro bakers were like, what's going on here? And the secret at Tartine, because Vanessa actually hopped on a plane to see what the heck they're doing and why she's ending up with pancakes, they refresh their rye starter 3 times a day.
Wow.
And
Oh,
rye has more enzymes, which break everything down. So the white starter is slower. The rye is like rocket fuel. Vanessa calls it
Okay.
rye because you add a bit of rye to anything, it'll just take off.
Wow.
Viagra.
So what would be some advantages then to adding like more than just regular white flour? And would you use just regular all purpose, or would you have to use like a stronger protein flour, like a bread flour for your
In
starter?
theory,
Or does that matter as well?
yeah, in theory, you can use any flour except for bleached and cake. I would not use
Okay.
bleached cake flour. The stronger protein, the bread flour that we have, different parts of the world call it Manitoba, Canadian Manitoba, which we can't get in BC.
Mhm.
Um, the more protein it has, the more food it can eat.
Yeah.
And when your
Double
starter
O or
is,
double zero or something.
yeah, and when your starter is thicker, it kind of contributes to your pre-fermented flour in the bake, so it kind of gives it a little more stiffness. If it's runny and it's pouring out of the bowl, then you're gonna have a little problem. So that's why we have bread flour. All-purpose flour is
Okay.
good. In BC, we have some strong bread flour, but the protein in the wheat is very depending on the growing season. So
Wow.
the hot, dry summer tends to give more protein if it's planted in the winter versus in the spring. Like it's a whole other realm.
There's so
Wow.
so much science around it, which I love, but
Well,
I also want to kind of pretend that we've never ever tried sourdough before. And I just, for our audience, in case they're interested, because starters, I mean, 2020 hit and everybody suddenly was baking sourdough, but there are probably people who are still feeling intimidated by it. Can you just give us a very succinct explanation of what sourdough is, what a starter is, and how it works?
um, let's see. Sourdough at the very base is flour and water.
Okay.
And and the microbes in that flour come from the soil in the ground that it grows out of. And so, at the very minimum, when everybody was in COVID and they had shortages of yeast, everybody knew that you could either do the beer route, making your brewer whatever, or you could just add flour and water and hope for the best. Then there is another method where you get someone's like dehydrated starter,
Mhm.
right? And then
Oh,
it's
I've
like
never
the
seen
side,
dehydrated.
it's like so you take your starter that's active, spread it on a piece of wax paper or parchment, let it dry overnight, and now this is like as if it was frozen in time.
Wow.
If you're given one of these from a friend, revive it, it'll be ready in 3 or 4 days to start baking a loaf of bread.
So
But
you don't actually have to have it in a little jar. You can just have that dehydrated starter like that.
yeah, or in the fridge. And it's always best to have a backup because someone's gonna keep their starter in the oven, turn it on, and bake their starter, and they're like, "Oh my God." But most bakers will share their starter with you. So
Yes.
if you're a very, very new beginner,
Hmm.
your kitchen's not gonna have the same yeast floating around as mine sometimes.
Mhm.
Okay.
So getting an active starter will save you like 90% of the stress instead of starting with flour and water and hoping for the best. So that's
Right.
and finding a mentor. Usually people learn from like a grandmother, but we've lost that disconnect over the years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so there's people like me and people online who are like the proper schools will help you. Facebook forums popped out like all over the place. But then sometimes they're just regurgitating the same chat GPT or Google, whatever they have. So
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, so the first, like, I started mine July 1st, 2019. Come September, I got Vanessa's book, The Sourdough School. That one, it took me a year to understand what that is. Like, whew. And then
kudos for continuing to try.
yeah, on the 1 year anniversary of Linda's birth, I finally followed her method of learning to feel the dough, and it clicked. It took me a year to get it to click. So
Wow.
July 2020, when everybody else was just jumping on the bandwagon, I was already ahead. I already had my stockpile of flour and everything like that. So yeah.
Wow.
Wow. So we're trying to demystify sourdough, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is even more complicated. So what do you say to somebody who is starting out? Like if someone's starting from scratch, what is the least overwhelming way to actually start on a sourdough journey?
Get it from
Well,
someone else.
one, I'm an ambassador
Get your
for
starter from
sourdough.
somebody else.
So, of course, as an ambassador to Christie's Summit Sourdough, who's in Edmonton, which I'm thankful there's a Canadian brand. There's a lot of American ones, but when you're in Canada, it's a little different. And hers is like a 130th old starter culture from Alaska or something. I
Wow.
give you a sourdough kit. She has 4 pages of foolproof instructions. As long as you follow her instructions, you'll have success. If you start deviating from those instructions and following someone else's method, sorry, not much we can do.
Right.
And then the other thing I would do is give you, actually, it's on sale right now. I bought up a bunch. The 10-minute sourdough from Vanessa, and it's on sale for
Oh,
$10. I think
$10. Well,
yeah, it's normally like $37.50, but it's on clearance now. She has a new book coming out in the fall called Prove It.
okay.
Oh, that looks like it
And
could
where
get
would you
it
pick it up for
Avon or
10
Walmart
bucks?
or something.
Chapters Indigo. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah, if you look online,
Okay.
there's some left somewhere around and online, and it's on their clearance rack. I was like, oh my God. And
Oh,
that's where I found her first book for $20 was on the clearance rack. And it
okay.
was like, it was brand new book. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Amazing. All
Yeah.
right. So it sounds like, try to get a starter from somebody, like maybe instead of starting one from scratch, and then getting some proper instructions
Get a
and
mentor.
following those
Yeah.
instructions, and yeah, get that mentor. And
Yeah.
then that is pretty much a foolproof way to really kick off your sourdough journey in a very positive
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, because it also becomes like you're a yoga guru. You start selling the juice to everybody and be like, you gotta do
Yeah.
Yeah.
this.
Everybody does
My
that.
starter's not behaving. Like you become buddies with some people. And that's how I met my friend Jasmine in Quebec. She was like trying to
Yeah.
quickly learn how to make perfect bread so she could sell it because her son was in the hospital with leukemia. And she had
Oh,
5 other kids at home and she needs to feed them because her husband's with the sick one. So we became best of friends through a Facebook forum. And then every day she would be like, Claire, I quit. And the next day she's like, okay, so I'm making this. Like the determination of a mother wanting to provide for her
mhm.
family, there's nothing else like it in the world.
So
So
true.
yeah.
Isn't
So
that the truth?
yeah. And then I got her into the sourdough club and then in the sourdough school. So yeah.
But the
I
community, oh, sorry.
I want to talk.
So sorry. I know. I'm just so excited about sourdough.
I'm just
Sorry.
thinking
Go
about
ahead, Lisa.
Shh, shh. I'm just thinking about all the times that um, I've talked to people who have said, "Oh, my sourdough starter died." And they think that when it's sitting there and it gets that separation and then there's this layer on the top, they think it's not active anymore. It's not going to work. And they throw it in the garbage. And then I'm like, what did you do that for?
Yeah.
Explain a little more about what's happening there and what to do to fix it. And like, how do we stop people from throwing Linda's in the garbage?
Yeah. Linda's, Brad Pitt's, all the people, Brad Pitt's.
Red Pitts,
um,
yeah.
So if anyone knows moderately of what fermentation is through winemaking and things, because you add yeast to the crushed grapes and then it ferments and then creates alcohol, that layer on top is hooch. That's what the old sourdoughs used to drink to get through the winter. Get high off of, I don't know if they can, but so that layer is a protective layer that the bacteria produce to prevent any bad bacteria getting in. If your starter's well
Oh, cool.
established, yeah, so that is like a separation. Now, in the beginning, in the first like maybe month of you getting it, it could be just water separation because your cultures aren't quite as active. But sometimes you'll get, most of the time it's clear, it's a little bit, you can stir that back in. But if there's like a good like half inch, just pour it out. It's not, you don't really need to worry about hydration in your sourdough starter. It's after a couple feedings, it'll be back to normal. But if you neglect it in the fridge, it can get that protective layer. Me personally, I've never had that issue. Either
Well,
because
you're pretty active with your
Yeah.
sourdough.
well,
Yes.
I'm not really neglecting it as much, but some people leave it on the counter for 3 days, and yeah, it's fine. People worry about, oh, I have COVID. Am I gonna make my starter have COVID? And I was like, it doesn't quite work that. But a lot of funny things come up on the Facebook forum.
That's true.
So
Yeah, I
it's
guess.
basically like if you cut yourself and you bleed and you get a scab, it's basically having a scab on it so nothing will hurt it, right? It's
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
What if you mixed it all into the starter?
You can. It can make people have a really sour, acidic starter. And the problem with that is that can break down your gluten proteins before they had a chance to bond. So
Okay.
there's glutenin, which is the rods, and gliadins, which that's the reactive part for celiacs and everything like that. The gliadins are small, the rods are thing. Water, time, friction will cause them to bind together to create the oven spring. But when you're using like say ryegra, it will speed up the fermentation, more water. You can there's a lot of like choose your own adventure with like a not a ready starter. That's
Love
where
it.
you feel the flat pancakes or too sour tasting, or there's a
Yeah, that makes sense.
So much to learn. Wow.
Yeah, I guess
So-
those Facebook forums are really a safe space.
Yeah,
for everybody.
honestly, yeah, the sourdough program, very rarely you get like an arrogant person, but everybody's so supportive to helping
Yeah.
one another.
Yeah.
I
And
used
there's
to
no
do
such thing as a stupid question.
no, but I used to be like sell cakes and things like that just to like some people, and like it's cutthroat in some of those Facebook forums. It's
Oh,
like,
It is. Mm-hmm.
It can be. It can be. But overall, I think the baking community is pretty awesome with each other. They're
Yeah.
really gracious and kind and supportive. And
Yeah.
like sourdough is the same thing. It's kind of that same, a good family there. So it's
Yeah.
very comfy and homey, like bread,
Yes.
making bread is.
Yes,
So.
yeah. Well, Polly Hollywood was a bread. He did bread
Yeah.
and bakeries and things like that. So
Yeah. That's
yeah,
a specialty. Yeah.
and my favorite is always the Great British Bake Off. I can't watch any of those other Food Network shows, like, or even like before, because everyone's so kind. Like that poor fellow,
Mhm.
that British guy who took someone's thing out of the freezer and wrecked another contestant, and then the next week he was gone because he felt so horrible. And I was like,
that was really sad.
everybody's so happy, they're welcoming, and yeah, it's quite neat. Everybody keeps asking me to go on one. I said no, I read the rules, I can't join. I've been professionally trained.
Well, yeah, because
Yeah.
you're professionally trained. Yeah.
Good for
Yeah.
you for reading the rules.
Yeah.
That's a lot
You
of
mean
stuff to
people
read
actually
through on those
read all of
applications.
those?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last
Aw.
thing I want to be is on TV. Like most people are like, you should be on TV, you should do this, you should do that. And I'm like, I kind of felt like that was a previous lifetime when I was working next to all those chefs and cookbook authors and everything like that. And I used to work at the cheese shop. And they would come in, they're like, I love cheese. And then you read what is it, Anthony Bourdain's book, and cheese is how the cocaine ended up into the kitchens. So I was the delivery girl going to all the kitchens. They're like, oh, I love cheese. I'm like, okay, there's nothing in here but just cheese. Because that's where they get called the cheese head, right? The cocaine would have cheese head brains, right? Cheese heads.
I
Wow.
had no
Okay.
idea. We were learning so much. So
Yeah.
much.
Well, I didn't know we were going to learn about cocaine and cheese on a sourdough
No,
show, but wow.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Bonus,
fantastic
bonus,
and
bonus
very
learning.
interesting. Yes, definitely.
So is sourdough actually better for you, or is that what we just tell ourselves so that we don't really feel guilty about eating half a loaf in one sitting with
Yeah,
lots
so
of
I guess
butter
it
on
depends
it?
on how often you cook. I grew up, since I was 11, I've always been around the food industry, and the novelty wears off in 6 months. So that's why you're
Mm,
unloading to your neighbors and friends and family. But yes, it is. It actually, there's many functions to a sourdough starter. Basically it's like an external stomach. So all those things that you couldn't break down, all the phthalates and all that things, all the vitamins like the folate, which most people have the MTHFR gene, methyl tetrahydrofolase reductase or whatever. Um,
I have
generally
a science degree and I'm just sitting here like,
yeah. If you want to learn about Acromantia, who loves the red fruit, if you want to learn about Lactobacillus planetarium, that's another one that helps with weight loss. But
I'll take that one. Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
everybody wants it.
Give
Yeah.
me some info, please.
Yeah. So the benefits of a sourdough starter is I think a lot of people gluten shame, and it might be the yeast. Because back in the day, in the 1800s, there was a pharmacist who created baking powder for his wife who couldn't eat yeast. And
mhm,
that got me thinking, I'm like, is it because they couldn't eat the commercial yeast that Louis Pasteur singleized the particular baker's yeast? Or is it she couldn't eat any of the yeast? Um, so there's that long history. We can blame Louis Pasteur for baking yeast that started to destroy everyone's guts during the Industrial Revolution. But the full it the sourdough starter actually methylates the vitamins in the whole grains. So, people want to get methylated B12 or methylated
mhm,
folate or methylated whatever because folic acid is bad. It does that for you in the time
mm,
it's like fermenting. It also helps people with digestion because there are one or two microbes that survive baking, and after a couple days they come back to life a bit, and that helps prevent the scaling and everything like that. It helps people when they have IBS or non-celiac gluten sensitivity, and like all these lifestyle diseases a lot of them can be traced back to your diet and how you're eating. And I think because we've spent so long eating the Charlie, what's his name? Charlie something. There's some processed to industrialize our baking that used to take 12 to 24 hours are now done in 4 to 2.
mm.
Right.
And that is a big I let set aside all the extra things you can't pronounce and breads and things like that. But it is. I know there's people who have like inflammatory conditions like MS or rheumatoid arthritis. Like there's certain grains that they react better for, and then there's
Yeah.
certain different diseases that actually benefit from the fermentation. Like they can't eat anything unless it's been fermented for a long time. And
Yeah. Because
and
it
what
eats the gluten,
Mm,
right? Like that.
yeah, it eats the gluten, it methylates the vitamins, but there's more protein in wheat than we realize. It's not just
mhm,
like gluten
Carbs.
and gliadin. There's like many subspecies of like 4 different types of gliadin in some wheats. And like if you take, for example, the food nanny, the white kamut flour that's not enriched. Kamut corazon can have up to high as 16% protein,
Wow.
mm,
but the lowest amount of gluten. So
Oh,
protein and gluten
interesting.
are two different things. Like yes, gluten is a protein, but um we're supposed to eat more plants and eat more things. Like I think it was like it's an 8-to-1 ratio for wheat, and then it's like a 2-to-1 ratio for protein for soluble proteins. So learning about some of the ancient grains is perfect because Camille corazon's in the durum family. The durum family is what we make pasta in Italy. So
Yeah.
it's like a whole family tree of things. And most people, I won't quote it here, but some people who have celiacs who went to the food nanny and ate it, they didn't have the reaction like white flour.
mm.
Now it's also they're in the States and it may be different, but obviously I wouldn't recommend any gluten products for a celiac. That they can do that at their own will, but
I
Mhm.
yeah,
but
I
a
know
lot
Yeah,
I have
100%. Yeah.
I have family members who have, I'm not 100% sure if it's a gluten intolerance or if they're celiac. But when they were in Europe, they could eat the products there because the soil is different. The soil that the wheat is grown in is different from here. And so there were so many different things that they could eat that they normally would not be able to eat, and they
Mm.
had no problems with them, which was quite surprising. Well, no
Yeah,
visible problems. I have to say this as a
yeah,
nurse because who knows
yeah.
what's happening inside. But
Right, right. And
Yeah.
also you're on vacation. You're relaxed.
Yeah.
You're
The
exercising,
stresses are out.
walking more.
yeah.
Yeah, there's no stress. The funny thing is about most of our wheat gets shipped to Europe.
Oh,
And
that's kind of funny.
yeah, and then Ukraine is the breadbasket of the Europe. Well, where's our breadbasket? The area that the Ukraine came and settled in the 1900s. So we're
Mm.
looking at Manitoba. Everybody goes nuts for Manitoba strong wheat, and this, that, the other. Now, the other factor why most people can't eat it, in my opinion, is the glyphosate.
hmm
Use the glyphosate to do an early harvest, make sure it's strong.
Mm.
I read, I can't find it right now, of course, it's like, but your sourdough starter actually gets rid of 30% of the glyphosate in the flour if you ferment it long enough.
Interesting.
Yeah. And with all the forest fires, I didn't realize glyphosate is the issue for all the forest fires because it dries out. That's what they use partly in forestry, is using the glyphosate. So that is like a big gut bomb in your stomach. And I think that's where 90% of people's issues come from, because
Mm.
Oh,
there's a certain allowable parts per million that is allowed in Canada. But if you're constant eating Wonder Bread, then it's just a big gut bomb, right?
oh, that
I
sounds
mean,
so awful.
is
Mhm.
Wonder Bread even bread? Just asking
It
for
Yeah,
doesn't go bad.
yeah.
that's scary,
I
It
know.
right?
depends. Yeah, it depends. I see my grandparents grew up with Wonder Bread. It's not the same as it was in the 1920s,
No,
30s, right? So,
no.
yeah, and then there's the bread project, which is like bread has to be flour, water, salt. Well, what about sandwich bread? We want the soft, squishy Wonder Bread texture. Well, you're gonna need to add like something to it to give it that, either more
Mhm,
protein, like vital wheat gluten or
mhm.
eggs or some olive oil or butter or
Mhm.
a bunch of things. Like some people, it's funny with the fresh milled flour, they would need to add like lecithin, sunflower lecithin, to give it that. And when you read the ingredients and you're making fresh milled flour, I'm like, well, why am I buying this other powder product to add in to give me what is equivalent to Wonder Bread, right? So
Right.
yeah, so you begin to learn to read the labels, and I've done that since my sister was born because she was allergic to everything. So
Ah,
Mm.
yeah, so I learned quite early modified food starch was actually wheat starch, and she was allergic to wheat, but she could eat rye. So some
Oh,
people are allergic to different proteins in it. It's not so much the gluten. So yeah.
okay.
it's
Interesting.
so fascinating.
It
Mm.
really is, isn't
Yeah.
it? But I think
It's,
what I heard with that is yes, sourdough is healthier for you if you're going to
Yeah.
eat bread. I think it's a great one to actually have. So thank you for making me feel so good about eating sourdough bread because
Yeah.
I
like
love sourdough.
justifying my
Yeah.
sourdough habit.
Yeah. Well,
Thanks, Claire.
definitely read the label because there's a lot of faux sourdough out there. But yeah, generally,
Mm.
if you know someone making sourdough,
My
they'll
Yeah.
daughter. I
then
don't have to make the sourdough because my daughter makes the sourdough, and then I'm like,
yeah.
hey, next time I see you, can you please bring me a loaf? Reminder, Selah, please bring me a loaf of sourdough. On Mother's Day, bring me
Yeah.
two.
Yeah.
There you go. That could be your Mother's Day present. All I
Yeah,
want for
I
Mother's
want
Day
more than
is
that too.
sourdough. Oh.
I will take sourdough from her. Her sourdough is delicious. She has really worked to
Oh.
master it. I'm
Yeah.
really, really impressed by that because I do all the cakes and cookies and stuff. I just have never been able to master sourdough.
We got to do a bake along.
I, I mean, I guess I'm willing to learn.
Yeah.
There
I
you
need
go.
to learn
Perfect.
more. I still have that sourdough in the back of my fridge, that starter. It doesn't have a name. Maybe that's what the problem is.
Yeah. So what is it with the naming of sourdough actually? Because it's a thing. Like all sourdough starters must have a name. And
Do you,
is
yeah.
why is that? Do you know the history behind that, Claire?
Well, do you have a cat or dog? Do you just
No.
You gotta name it to know when to feed it.
Absolutely. It's about that, right? Having that human connection to it,
Yeah.
or some sort of live, it's a live thing. So you have to
Yeah,
take care of it.
it's a
And
pet.
if
You want
it's
to be fed,
named,
don't you? Yes.
then
She
you're
likes to be fed.
more likely to look after them.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Sometimes they're named after the people who give them to you. Like someone had like, was it Shannon at the Sourdough Schoolhouse? Hers is Snowloff or something. The 13. They went through 13 starters before they got to this
Oh,
one
wow.
working. Like accidents happen, baked
Right.
it, and all
Oh
kinds of.
yeah, I've killed my sourdough starter in the microwave because that's usually where I keep mine. And normally, yeah, I was warming up tea in the microwave, which I know, please do not come at me. I should not have been doing that, and that's probably why this happened. But my sourdough was there. I usually like have a good process, right? Take out the starter dough, put my cup in, warm up my tea, take that out, put my starter back in. But I forgot to take the starter out, and I microwaved it. It
That's the
didn't
first.
survive.
That's the first
It
I've
didn't
ever.
survive. But it was, I had the mother starter in the fridge because I always have like
Yeah,
four other containers of starter
yeah,
in
bucket.
my fridge at any given
Yeah,
moment.
that was what saved you there. I mean,
Yeah,
Totally. I
mhm.
would have cried otherwise. I would have been
Aw.
so upset.
Wait,
yeah,
what's your starter's name, Christina?
Hope.
Oh yeah, that's
Hope.
right. I knew that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Cause yeah, I just hoped it would work. That's why it's called Hope.
A very, very good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, starters. This is where people start to spiral. I mean, I know that I had asked you what a starter is, um, but what are the most common mistakes that you see with starters? Like the things that make you go, ha ha ha, yeah, seen this before. Not what Christina did because you have not seen that or heard that
Probably
yeah.
not.
I think
Impressive, Christina.
Thank you.
yeah.
I try.
I think people try to rush the process. And I find
Hmm.
if you start a starter from flour and water, you have to trust the process. And that's where everyone second guesses each other. When is it ready to bake? And for
Hmm.
some people, it could be ready in 5 days, but for others, it could be 21. And I think the
Oh,
process and the patience you need to make a starter is the same process you need to bake your first loaf of bread, because a lot of people fall into the trap where they follow the hours and not reading the dough or reading the
mm,
sourdough starter. And people said it needs to be double. Well, it could be triple. It could be at its peak. It could be anything. And it's generally based on temperature and climate. So,
Okay. So how do you know when your starter is ready to start being part of the process of actually making a loaf of sourdough?
um, well, for me, it's smell and taste. Taste your starter. Most people don't spend the time tasting it. So just the lick, like just like, when you first start, mix it up, you smell it, just tastes like paste, right? And then over 4 hours, you might still not smell nothing. And then at 6 hours, you kind of get a something. But if you taste it, you could taste the acidity of it sometimes. So some people want it yogurt lactic kind of thing. Some people's starters smell like pineapples. Usually that's a sign of the yeast fermenting and it's shooting almost into alcohol territory. But you usually have like people
Oh,
want to cook with it when it's pleasant, right? If it
mhm.
smells like dirty feet, then there's other things going on. But generally, if you're like for me and the temperatures right now, and if I feed the 1 to 5 ratio, it'll be ready in 8 to 10 hours. But I just know that just from keeping a log.
your
Uh,
experience. Yeah.
like
Ah,
my starter here, I'll mark it
oh, beautiful. Yeah.
and I'll write down the times that I fed it or what days. And then it's already peaked and I stirred it down and now it's like going up again. So like if I smell it, let's see.
Mhm.
It doesn't really smell like much. It smells yogurty. So
Okay.
it'll be ready to
Wow.
eat.
And
Is
so
it
you
sitting
can
on a
actually
warmer?
mix it.
Pardon?
You can actually mix it down too.
Oh
Like
yeah.
when it's,
Yeah,
oh,
it's not like a flex to have your starter climbing out of your jar. Like,
Everybody thinks it is.
90% of the time it's faked. You put too much starter amount in the jar, yeah, it will climb over. But yeah, actually extra stirs in the beginning when you're creating your starter, the yeast can respirate and ferment. So the respiration is the oxygen,
oh,
and the more you mix it a couple times a day,
More
will get
air
more
you get in there.
air, and then the good like bacteria and stuff will work with the oxygen as opposed to the fermentation. There's certain bacteria that are not as good that will thrive in the acidic environment. So yeah.
Huh.
But that's
Fascinating.
more what you
So
read
fascinating.
from Marco Gabbetti. He's the guy who actually lab tests everyone's sourdough. There's like a world sourdough library that they've actually itemized what bacteria cultures and what yeasts are in them. So it was pretty interesting to go explore.
No kidding.
No
There's a
kidding. It's a
visual.
whole world. It's a whole
Yeah,
world
yeah.
out there
And
of
then
sourdough.
in Sweden, they have a sourdough vacation home. So you can send your sourdough to this vacation home. They'll feed it for you, and then you come back and it's still alive.
That's a commitment and a half. How much does it cost you to do that? Fly your sourdough first class over to
Yeah, no, I don't know. I
across
don't
the
know if it's,
ocean?
yeah, it's the sourdough hotel or something. Now, that's what I've seen on Instagram. I don't know if it's 100%, but every once in a while that reel pops around and I'm like, I should do that.
That is
I could never go on
hilarious.
vacation.
Linda might go on a trip.
Well, actually, the first year, I brought my starter everywhere I went. So went
Like
camping, I
carry
made
on?
bread. Yeah, I haven't done a carry-on, but I have other friends who do that. All the pro bakers do. But I've taken mine camping, does well camping. The loaf of bread tastes like the old keg sourdough bread, like that old.
Oh,
It
yeah,
Oh,
tasted
yeah.
just like that. Use Anita's 60/40 bread baker blend. It was like I replicated it. And then I didn't realize the owner at the time actually got the bread from San Francisco and flew it in.
oh
So
Ah,
wow.
it's like, this is interesting.
that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yes, it does.
Huh?
Is it possible to make sourdough from gluten-free flour?
Yep, 100%. My
Okay.
girlfriend, who's a pastry chef, is gluten-free. She's like type 1 diabetic and celiac. She's got the double combo.
Hmm.
Yeah, I made her. There's a lady in Kelowna named Mary Thompson. She's part of a couple of celiacs on Instagram.
Mm.
She's gluten-free. Her daughters are celiac. They're all gluten-free. And yeah, Mary wrote her own gluten-free sourdough book and does all the weights and measures and grams and everything like that. And I made it,
Wow.
followed it. You could also get her dehydrated starter sent to you and revive it. And when I
Ooh.
gave the loaf of bread to my friend who has German heritage in her from her mother's side, she was like, this reminds me of bread that I used to grow up eating. Like it was a really
Wow.
good recipe. But now I don't make bread for her because her celiac is flaring up a lot and I just don't want to deal with the cross contamination now that I'm milling. So
Mm.
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
That's
no, yeah,
that totally
there
makes
are
sense.
ways
Oh,
to do it. Yeah, Mary is the only book I'd probably recommend anyone. And I like it because it's Canadian and it's also local
Yeah.
yes.
BC.
Well,
Local.
my friend who lives in Kelowna is celiac, and that she was who I was asking for. And I'm like, well, now I'm just going to tell her to go get this book. Then she
Yeah,
can try it. That sounds
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. Well, Mary lives in Kelowna. She could
Yeah,
probably drive to her house.
she could just drop by and be like, "Hi, help me out here,
Hey.
please."
Yeah.
Yeah.
She makes her
And
own
because I think she
kombucha, so
also,
she can make bread.
yeah, I think if this is the same person, I think they might also do some sourdough baking like seminars, or she has some courses that she offers as well, or she did a number of years ago. If this is the same person that I'm thinking
Right,
of
there's
out of
Shannon
Kelowna.
Pickford. She's the Sourdough Schoolhouse. She's
Okay.
based in Kelowna as well. And then there's Mary Thompson, who's gluten-free sourdough. And I think partly sometimes they may overlap, but I can't remember. But Shannon
Okay.
has a gluten-free sourdough course as well that was
Wow.
done by a lady in Nova Scotia or something. And so yeah, there's a lot of good Canadian sourdough bakers
Yeah,
and content to
Yes.
consume because it's so
Yeah.
hard trying to find a Canadian, everything's based in the
yeah,
States, right? So,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is.
and each province is slightly different. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Very
And
true.
how do you know where sourdough was actually first invented? Actually, now that we're talking about the history of it, it's not a big deal, but just
like Egypt, way
okay,
back, way back, way
way
back,
back when.
way back when.
Huh.
It was mostly flatbreads, right? The Jewish
Mm.
people, they would do it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
make matzah for Passover, it has to be made in a certain time period, otherwise it starts to grow yeast, and they're not
Mm,
allowed leavened bread during Passover.
right. Right.
So I think it was way past biblical times, like thousands and thousands of
Ah.
years ago, where they just left water and grains together, let it do its thing, and that's how it started. Yeah. So
It's
it's
just
not something
amazing.
new. It's not something that was invented in COVID. It wasn't like
Yeah,
it,
yeah, fair.
No,
It's been
yeah,
around for a little longer than that.
a
yeah, yeah,
little
Slightly
longer.
before pre-COVID.
yeah.
So, all right.
Okay, so what about equipment? Like, what kinds of things do we need? Do we need to have like, how do you even say it? A lamb, a lame?
A
Do you need
lame,
to have,
long,
do you
long.
need to have those like bat proofing basket things? What do you need? Or can we make great bread without
So
turning our kitchen into a sourdough lab?
yeah,
I
no,
love that
but
you have props, Claire. I love this.
She's so ready.
here I don't. My
She's
screen's
ready for this one.
well. This is one section of my
Nice.
kitchen. I think people are impressed by the copper. They're
Yes,
impressed.
So cool.
Where's my Bannettons?
basket. Oh,
Copper
banisters.
Okay.
bolts,
That's what they are. I
Bannettons,
forgot.
or oh, let's see if I can put this down.
You have
So
different sizes and different
yeah,
shapes.
this will hold about 750 grams of dough.
Is that
It's,
a batard? Which one is a
yeah,
batard?
a tard.
Yay, I got one right.
Yeah.
There's the just a
A
regular
boule.
round.
A
Um,
boule, yes. The
A
round shape
boule.
is the boule and the long shape is the batard.
yeah, and then Summit sourdough, their
Oh,
own broad
Oh.
form, and this is made from wood pulp. And
I
so
Oh.
want to get some of those for my
yeah,
daughter.
so the wood pulp ones, and it's great because it's from Summit Sourdough in Edmonton. You don't have to pay tariffs and duties and all that stuff ordering
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
the States. They are a little on the pricier side, but they should last you a lifetime.
Wow.
But the the purpose of a banneton is a proofing basket. So
Mhm.
after you shape your dough, if you don't put it in something to contain it, it'll just flatten out like a pancake. It also helps to whisk away the moisture if you're gonna cold retard it. And then, sorry, that's a baking term. It's not
Yeah.
directed at
Explain.
anybody.
Explain the cold retard.
Or the cold
So
retarded.
actually, let's
Yeah.
start from the beginning. You've got your starter, it's ready to go. Then what does the process look like after that? Because we've got our starter, we're happy, it's lively, it's ready to do its thing.
Yeah.
Like what are the next steps
So the
involved in
next
actually
steps would be the
baking the
mix.
sourdough?
Yeah, the next steps would be a mix. And like with anything with sourdough, it's choose your own adventure. So do you want to auto loose it or do a direct mix? Let's go direct
So
mix.
what's the difference
No,
between the two?
yeah, back it up.
Auto
Yeah,
loose is
auto
where you
lease.
just
Yeah.
auto loose is
I thought it
flour
was
and water.
lies. I thought it was auto lies.
I don't know. It depends on how French you are, right? So
Lease would make sense.
yeah, so there's autolyse, and then there's the tartine method, which now a new term came out, which is fermentaloose, which is you add the starter, flour, and water together. So there's
Mhm.
water, the traditional flour and water. There's the starter, flour, and water, and then the direct mix is just throwing everything in the bowl, salt and all, and direct mix it, knead it like a traditional recipe. Um,
Oh.
and then you move on to, so if you autoloose, you would need to add your starter, and then you need to add your salt, and then you can hand knead or do your stretch and folds and baby it all day. The fermentaloose is a little faster because a lot of people don't see a taste difference between one or the other. And the same thing, you do mix, proof, or bulk, which is the first proof. Shape. Oh no, I forgot a step. You would add salt and then you proof, bulk, shape, final proof. You could put it in the fridge. You could put your dough in the fridge, come back to it and carry on the next day. And then you shape and or bake and score and bake and yeah, carry on your way. And then there's
And
the
eat.
direct mix.
And
Yeah.
eat. Yeah, it takes a little while to get to the
Yeah.
eating part.
So with Vanessa's 10-minute sourdough, she has it spaced out where you would let it ferment overnight while you're sleeping and do like a mix. It almost looks like a muffin mix. After an hour, throw it in the tin, let it proof overnight, bake it in the morning. So you're literally, it's like less than 10 minutes hands-on time.
I
But
like that kind.
Wow,
yeah,
that
Yeah.
sounds
I
that
like the
sounds
less.
very doable.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. As for tools, no, you don't need all the tools. But the more you get into it and you be stubborn about, no, I don't need a whack jar. No, I don't need a lame. No, I don't want that. And then you finally get one and you're like, why was I so stubborn for the first week?
Well,
Don't
it's
do that
really
with all
hard.
the things, though.
It's really
Yeah.
hard to score that dough without a proper tool for it. Because I
Yeah.
have tried with like a knife and I'm like, why are my knives not sharp at all? It's just, it
Yeah.
does not
Yeah.
work. I don't have a razor blade. I don't know what to do here, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, tools and tech not tools and techniques. Gourmet Warehouse downtown has all the stuff. Carrie McSherry
Yeah.
has like the things. There's actually I was out in your area in White Rock. There's the kitchen therapy.
Yeah.
They had some stuff. Winners and Home Sense lately. You can get a good
Yeah,
deal. Not
right.
bad. Like I saw one at Kitchen Therapy that was like $100 and something for this kit, and I got it for $29.99 and Home Sense. Like, yeah.
Wow.
Pretty,
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty
Sometimes
good.
you can get some really good deals there for like really interesting things, right?
Oh,
So, or
you guys are bakers. So there's a lady called Cloudy Kitchen, and she was in New York and then she moved back home to New Zealand, and she really likes this Halala vanilla.
Ooh,
oh,
And so I got these at
nice.
Home Sense. They were like $10, $9.99.
nice.
And it
It
tastes
tastes
good.
it's better than the Mexico one, in my opinion.
Okay.
Oh,
And they do
okay.
little whatever, vanilla bean paste. So it's just
Good. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
I'm always happy to get a score of vanilla bean paste that is
yeah.
cheaper.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Because some of those are like Nelson Massey is like ridiculous price now, like
Yeah. But
$50 or
at Costco, they're carrying that in the bigger bottle at Costco
oh
now, and it's like
yeah.
$35 for, I'm not sure how big the bottle is, but it's a good
Mhm.
size, a really good
Yeah,
size and really good price right now.
I'll
yeah,
ask
yeah.
my Costco contact to get me some.
Yeah. And they've got
Costco
vanilla
card.
beans too. They've got
Yes.
actual vanilla beans at Costco
Yeah.
as well right now.
You used to get more back in the day. I think I still
Yeah.
have them in my cupboard. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Okay, so let's
Nice.
talk about like some quick fire troubleshooting. So, what makes a dense loaf? What happened?
I don't know. Tell me what you did.
Oh God. Okay, that makes sense.
Could be a number of things.
It can be a number of things.
Okay.
I'd say 97% of the time is improper maintenance of your sourdough starter.
Mhm.
It all starts with
Maybe
that
1%
starter.
of the time, if you're a beginner, it's learning how to read the dough. So you followed the timeline, not the temperature.
Mhm.
Actually, not getting your dough to proper desired dough temperature can be a big one that makes or break your thing. DDT or FNT, your final dough temperature. Generally, at the end of mixing, you want it 28 degrees Celsius. That's the magic
Okay.
number, 28 degrees Celsius, no matter what you do. So in the
Okay.
summer, to get the dough 28 degrees Celsius and it's like 30, 35 degrees out, you'll use colder water. And if you use warmer water in the winter. So it can take a minute of kneading or
Mhm.
just throw it in a proofer or in the microwave to
Yeah.
warm it up. But that's
In the
that's
microwave.
yeah,
Just don't turn on your microwave.
that's the first I've ever heard that happen. Most people don't have
See?
that. Yeah, yeah, the very
Yay
first.
me. I'm
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
I'm impressive that
Now
way.
I can say that it's a possibility. Usually it's the oven light and turning the oven on,
Mhm.
but yeah, there's like sourdough homes now, and there's proofers and all kinds of things to help prevent the
Yeah.
drafts. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I just picked up a bread proofer actually, like
You
a
did.
proofer box. It is brilliant. I love it. And I use it for so many things, but
Hmm.
my starter, proofing doughs. I also keep chocolate at temperature in there as
Oh, yeah.
well. And so lots of things. Like it's so handy to have. And it's
Yeah.
a collapsible box too, which I love.
Yes.
But
Yeah. I
yeah.
have the Broad and Taylor one that's like pretty pricey and it does collapse. And then they just released, it's only available in the US, this thing the size of a microwave that is a retarder and a proofer. And you can put
Oh,
half sheet pans in there. And
that would be
so
brilliant.
yeah, it's just space. My kitchen's small. My
Yeah.
husband would kill me if I came home with something else.
Right. Same, right? Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So, and then I just saw too, that's also trending with King Arthur. They're really dumbing down the sourdough process. They have this thing that looks like, I don't know, I think it's called a baby brezza, where you put the formula powder on top and it
Oh,
pre-measures like an espresso and does it. You can set it on Monday so you can have a bake day Friday, and it's just it's this automated Kickstarter thing.
It's gonna feed your starter.
wow.
Feed your starter and
That's
ramp
hilarious.
it up so you are ready for bake day.
Wow.
Wow,
Yeah.
Well,
that's really being invested.
Will I be
that's
getting that?
really good.
Probably not.
Your friends are all like, "Why are you buying this? What's going on?"
Yeah, but for very, very beginners who are busy work life, then yeah, you can it would be a obviously there's a need for it, right? And all these
Yeah,
things
Yeah.
get invented
Obviously,
because
yeah.
yeah,
there was something to do it. And I have a feeling it's because people were baking over COVID, then they let their starters go. They couldn't think backwards of a bake date. That's why I feed mine daily. It's like I can whip up something anytime.
anytime.
But if you're a professional and you only have, let's say, Friday night to bake, then yeah, having something on your counter to maintain it for you would be a
Yeah.
Yeah,
solution,
that's
right?
true.
And
Yeah.
and you said like 97% of the things that go wrong in sourdough is come from your starter. So if you have that part of it to a point
Nailed.
where it's nailed, then that makes the rest of the process almost flawless.
Should, but nothing's flawless.
You only got 3% to screw up after that. If 97% is a starter, you only have 3%
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
other things that could go wrong.
Yeah.
And what are those things? Because obviously you have like the you're mixing it obviously, then you're doing the bulk fermentation, and then you're doing a cold retard usually,
Wait,
and then you're
wait.
doing the scoring.
No, you have to stop. When you're saying retard, then you mean like slowing down
Yeah.
the yeast activity?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
Nothing,
Okay.
you
Or
can't
the,
stop,
sorry,
you
the
can't stop a living
bacteria.
organism. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you can
so
slow it down.
retard means to slow down, it's to cool down. Some
Okay.
people call it cold ferment or delayed ferment. I'm personally more inclined to use the traditional French terms because that's where it came from, and to
Mm,
honor the process would be
mm.
best to do it that way, because why are you calling it autoloose and delayed ferment, like it, like autolysis is its own term.
Mm.
My boss, Vanessa, yeah, she created bassinet and this net in her book, in her pastry book, and basically it's a process that all the pros did. They just didn't really have a name for it. So
Name for it.
bassinage, throw the baby out with the bathwater, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So you're gradually adding water to your dough in increments so the proteins can hydrate and do its thing, because a lot of times, the other 2% of the times that people mess up is they're dumping in the full amount of water when you may need to hold some back or add more in. And
Right.
a lot of times overhydrating as a beginner is a big, you're like, oh my God, I got a sticky dough, I have to add more flour, and then it add more
Yeah.
water, and then back and forth, and
Yeah.
Gotcha.
like the stickiness in
Gotcha.
their hands. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So now you can go back to what you were talking about, Christina. So you were talking through the different steps and then
So there all the different steps. Is there one that actually matters more than the other, or and again, or is it just having like the proper technique, or like can you screw up like the bulk fermentation? Like can you overproof your sourdough like from just the
Yeah,
regular proofing
it's
stage?
I'm from the factor now that we as a society in the modern world of post-COVID sourdough, we're actually under fermenting our dough.
Okay.
oh,
We what we consider to be overproofing is actually under fermenting, underproofing. And it's either too much hydration and too little fermentation. So yeah.
oh,
If once you get the starter aside, because most of the times it's the starter, but another time it's like under fermenting your dough. So you can end up with a dense loaf that way. Yeah.
right.
Okay. Huh.
That's a
Fascinating. There's
lot.
just
It's a
so many
lot.
things. So many things.
Yeah. Well, if you
So
get one or two good books, or you follow certain people or work with some sourdough buddy, like you eventually learn over time. It's not like I just learned this yesterday. I've been doing this since
Yeah.
2015, right?
Yeah.
And I got every
yeah.
book in the world. So Some people call me Claire GBT. It used to be Google Claire, but now it's Claire GBT because you can argue with people on Facebook forums, but once you pull out a book that's out of print, well, how can you argue with that, right?
Right,
And
right.
AI has been getting a lot of stuff wrong too.
I
Like
believe that.
pros have been testing it and it's not up to snuff. So
Yeah,
yeah.
you got to know your stuff for sure. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. But as a baker, home baker, just want to put a loaf of bread on things, there are a way to do it, and it's easy. That and like one baker, Bonnie O'Hara, Baking Alchemy or Alchemy Bread down in California, she has bread baking for beginners. So she teaches you the hands-off method with dried, you just buy a package of the Costco dried yeast. It walks you through the process up into making sourdough. So you really hone in the process of this no knead method and watching temperatures. She has a little chart in the beginning. So if your room temperature is this, make sure you have your water at this amount. And that is like, I was like, this is what I learned in pastry school was from this book. Like everything, I posted that when I first bought the book, and she's like, whoa, that feels a lot for me, because she was just a home baker who just created making bread to help support her family as well. So
Mhm.
Aw.
it's quite there's a you if you look for it you can find it. And she also wrote a book for children, like kids baking books. So I'd highly
Oh,
recommend, if
wow.
you're a
Amazing.
very beginner, find the children's books. They'll get you in the process.
That makes sense. Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
a
that really
great
makes sense.
idea.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a really good idea because they are learning how to make the proper process. It's just being, at a level where everybody can understand it so clearly,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
very clearly and very deliberately written,
Yeah.
and doesn't make any assumptions that you know what you're talking about, which
Mhm.
Yeah.
is
And
helpful.
it's honing into your palate as well, right?
Mm,
Mm.
So if you're into that Wonder Bread, I'm sure there's a kindergarten sandwich bread in there that you would like.
there you
That's
go. That's
funny.
amazing.
Okay, so this is your job, basically, right? Baking and all that stuff. Or do you have a full-time job? Because sourdough could feel like a full-time job. How do people fit this into their actual lives?
Well,
You're feeding your sourdough twice a day.
yeah, feeding the sourdough takes less than a minute. Like
Yeah, that's right. You did say
if
that.
you like mise en place, set your up with success, pull out all your ingredients. I have a little coffee jar that has a little spoon next to it with my scale and my starter all in the little corner of my kitchen. So you got to set yourself up for success,
True.
right? And then, so yeah, I'll try when I make my coffee in the morning, I'll make sure to feed it every morning. And then that night, if I want to bake something that night or the next day, I'll just make a bigger starter, leaven, mother, whatever you want to call it, for what I need. But generally, I feed my starter about the same amount. You don't need big amounts, and then you can top up what you need for your recipe. So if you need 150 grams of whatever, I subtract what I did and divide it by 2 to know how much water and flour I need to add in, right? So if you needed 200 grams of leaven or starter and I have 100, I do 50 grams flour, 50 grams water, so I yield the same amount of dough. And then it will take a little longer, but yeah, it works out.
Okay. How
Wow.
often are you baking?
I don't know. Some weeks not at all, some weeks every day.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm like Vanessa Kimball's, Dr. Kimball's teaching assistant at the sourdough school and the sourdough club. So I host my own Thursday meetings for the students. And then Tuesdays is class day for Alive, which we learn pretty much all I'm telling you guys is parroting off of Vanessa. And so, like, she was like, you know how I know you're neurodivergent? I'm like, how? She's like, you can keep up with me. I was like, yeah.
I
So,
love
like,
it.
yeah. So it was weird to finally, like, you bought a discount book off the shelf, you learn it. COVID hit, you attended one of the free seminars on Zoom. Then next thing you know, you got a discount joining the club, and then you show up to the Zoom meetings, And then she like guides you into her school. And the next thing I know, I'm like her TA, her teacher's assistant. And now it's like, and then I'm in charge of like her newsletter. Like it snowballed from there.
It does sound like it snowballed for
Yeah.
Incredible.
you.
And then
Yeah.
people in the industry, she knows everyone. So I got into this Facebook group, and one of the moderators is like, you really know your how to read fermentation and this, that, and the other. He's like, by the way, Vanessa is a mentor of mine, like, or I highly respect and look up to her. So I just happened to find the mecca of all the
Yep.
sourdough leaders and then got under her wings. So yeah, it's funny how it was like meant to be, like
Yeah,
things
sounds
would
like it.
Hmm.
happen. Yeah. So
Hmm.
basically my life is sourdough, and then students randomly calling me all the time, this is wrong, that's wrong, and I'm like, okay, I have a running total of time zones in my Apple phone, and and
Uh,
and then I put in their weather app to see what's going on for their weather, and then
oh,
yeah, and so someone's like, my starter's not doing anything, and I'm like, no kidding, it's -5 there.
that's cool that you do that.
That's impressive. You're
Yeah,
Yeah.
doing all
really is.
your homework. And I guess you have students from all around the world
Oh yeah,
that are
there's
part
like,
of this.
yeah, this year's there's Dubai, Lebanon,
Oh,
uh, Australia. I think there's one in New Zealand, like all across North America, UK. Yeah, everywhere, everywhere. And in
Wow.
like the
How
war-torn
fun.
countries, it's
Yeah.
it's it's stability, and then you
mhm.
really need to feed yourself, and the mindset it helps with baking,
Mm-hmm.
right? The repetition and really being
Mm-hmm.
mindful of what you're doing and
Yeah,
slowing you down. Like it's a good stress reliever, hence all the COVID baking, right?
100%.
yeah,
Exactly. I was just going to say, hence all of that. Well, besides the yeast shortage that we had as well, but along with that, just people wanted to do something to stay
Yeah,
engaged
yeah.
and do something and create. And
Yeah.
yeah,
And sharing food with your neighbors. Like we did, like I
100%.
lived in this neighborhood for like 20 years, and it wasn't until like you started sharing bread with everyone, all of a sudden they start sharing the stuff from their gardens, and we're like
mhm.
Yeah.
trading everything. So yeah, it's really
And
helpful.
isn't that amazing? Because that's how it used to be done back in the day, right? Where neighborhoods were exactly that. There was just so much sharing and the social part of it. And I think, as life gets busy, like people just start getting away from that. And I think COVID did kind of bring that back to some extent,
Definitely.
which is
Yeah.
one of the
Yeah.
good things that has come out of COVID.
Yeah. And I miss the days where you run across the street, can I borrow a cup of sugar? Like
Right.
yeah. Do
Right.
you have
I
any
still
peanut
do that.
butter? Yeah.
I just ask my lovely Linda next door. Her name's Linda.
Oh,
She
you have a
has a
lovely
starter,
Linda
starter, but
too.
I just like text her, Linda, do you have any cocoa powder? And she'll be like, yep. And I'll walk out my back door and she'll be standing in her doorway with
Amazing.
a little
That's so
Nice.
container for
cool.
me. Yeah, it's great.
Oh,
Yeah.
fun,
Everybody should
fun,
have a
fun.
Linda.
Yes.
Everybody should have a Linda.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have
Oh,
any lazy sourdough tips? Because like this is for me the thing. It just for me, I need shortcuts.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm bored. I'm bored with the sourdough.
Yeah.
And I don't like that there's so much hands-off time because I would rather be sitting down and decorating cookies.
Oh,
Like
okay.
doing
So
something.
for your style of cooking, I'd highly recommend Elaine Body. She is
Okay.
the queen of the overnight ferment and
Okay.
prepping. She really has a lot of a scaled down approach.
Okay.
And Boddy, I think is her last.
Boddy.
Yeah,
Got it.
so
Thank you.
she has like YouTube videos. She has a whole slew of books out, and like in general it works really well for
Okay.
me. What I found is like sometimes overnight I was overproofing because it
mm,
really overproofed, but
Mhm.
if you're seeing those overnight methods, do them in the daytime so then you can watch it, because
mm.
sometimes
Okay.
fermenting overnight you could leave it, like maybe it only needs 10 hours and you went to bed at 10 and woke up at 8, like you may have missed slightly the window. But
Yeah.
if that happens, throw it in a tin. Make focaccia, throw it in a tin. You can shape it, it'll reproof up again. You can add a bit more flour. And then that most of the baking is trying to cover up your mistakes, right?
Yeah, I would think so.
So
would
I know how
definitely
to
make sense.
manipulate it and change it and help people go like, and I think the other thing is we got to let go of the expectations that's in social media because we're
Mhm.
Mm.
comparing ourselves to bakers who probably pumped out like thousands of loaves,
Yeah,
or
Yeah,
there's
that's
other
totally
people who
fair.
got professional training.
and Taylor Swift.
Yeah, Taylor
Yeah,
Swift.
Taylor Swift.
Don't ever compare yourself to Taylor Swift in
Yeah,
any
no,
way, in
no.
any category.
No, but I'm curious who her friend is that she's always like, "Hey, my dough is doing this. What does this
Yeah.
mean? Hey, my dough is
Yes.
Yeah,
doing that.
who's
What's
her
it doing?"
mentor?
And that's how
Yeah.
everybody gets into it eventually. Some
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
fall out of it and then they come back to it and then it clicks. And other people, they're like, been there, done that. I don't care. And if you don't have
Mm.
a digestive issue with yeast, then
Yeah.
fine, do
Yeah.
yeasted bread. I actually have no
Yeah.
problem with that. Like, I'm not going to be
Yeah.
like, you have to be sourdough. Like, you could
Yeah.
do a mock Polish or Biga or
Mhm.
whatever you could do and do it that way. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
It's
Okay.
not the same though, really. Like I like an acidic kind of like the
Mhm.
sourdough
Me too.
bread. Like I
Okay.
really enjoy that part of it. And I don't
Yeah,
think you can really get that in another, like a yeasted bread.
you
Can
can.
you?
You can, because technically a lot of the sourdoughs, like Alaskan sourdough or San Francisco sourdough, is faux sourdough. So they're adding stuff. Yeah, sacre bleu, like
What? What? San Francisco sourdough isn't actually sourdough?
yeah,
She
yeah,
literally, like, if she had pearls, she'd be clutching them right now.
yeah.
She'd grab
They'd
her
be ripped
chest.
off.
There is one bakery who's been there since the 1800s, but sourdough, the leaven, originated in France. And in France, they have it by law. You have to add yeast to it, 1%
Oh.
or less than 1%. So they'd add 1% of yeast to whatever leaven they have, like 100 grams or whatever for their dough batch size. Well, those yeasts outpower the yeast in the sourdough, but you get
Mm.
the flavor from the leaven. So, yeah. So if you
Why
really
is
Mm.
that law? That seems weird.
well, they did it in the 90s before it was a thing to realize how healthy using a sourdough
Right.
starter is.
Mm.
But it's also time management, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
totally fair because it speeds up the process of the fermentation and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
There are some local bakers that use that. They add a bit of yeast or they're doing the traditional French method. But when you're looking at the ingredients and you can't digest yeast and you look, it says sourdough on it, but there's yeast in there, that
Mm.
immediately cancels it out because people with
Yeah.
Crohn's
Mhm.
actually can't eat yeast. Like that
Mm.
yeast is like
Mm.
blows, like it's not good for them. So
Mhm.
but
Hey, you
that's
gotta know where your
there's a
food's
small
coming from.
population that do that, right? There's only 1% of the world's population that we know of that has celiacs, and then there's like only so many that has non-celiac gluten sensitivity. But then there's also a few that probably have a yeast sensitivity and they just don't know it, right? So
Yeah.
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 Totally fair.
Wow.
Totally fair. Huh.
Ugh.
Well,
Hmm.
again,
I'm
just
this is so much. I feel like I'm in school. It's so much learning, but I'm enjoying it.
It like hurts your
right.
brain. You
That's the thing. I'm like, okay, how much of this am I going to actually retain, right? Because I'm not writing it down as I go. And that's how I usually learn things is by
yeah,
Yeah.
I
writing
write
down as I'm
everything.
listening.
I write
Yeah. Same,
everything down.
same.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I'll
rewrite.
have to listen to it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
So the,
the Sorry.
oh,
Oh, just the time schedule sheets. You can buy those, and that really helps follow.
Oh,
oh,
If
oh,
you're
that is
really into that, is the following of
and then keep,
yeah,
right.
keeping time. Yeah.
okay. So the retarding process, do you have to do a cold fermentation or a cold retard? Could you bake it like as soon as it's finished proofing?
Yep. Yep.
So why do people do the cold part of it?
One, they're just following a recipe.
Okay.
Two, it could be they actually need the extended fermentation for digestion or for
Okay.
flavor. For flavor.
Hmm.
That
Um,
makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, yeah. And it's
Yeah.
also to fit it in their schedule. Because what if the bulk takes a little longer and then you had to run out because your kids got hockey or this? You just throw it in the fridge, delay it for a moment, go back to it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a time where it's too long? And the reason I'm asking for me personally, because sometimes I'll actually keep my loaf in there for like up to like 48 hours. Is that too long?
No, I've seen
No?
people do
Okay.
it longer. So it did, but
Okay.
it depends on what your end result is, right? If you're looking for that artisan boule, yeah, it may not work 7 days later. But
Okay.
you could also use that to pinch off the loaf and start another loaf. Like you could do the leftover dough method, right? That you could just pinch off a loaf of leftover dough and make a new dough if it's too long. So, and use it kind of like a biga, like the Italian biga.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's like,
All right. Use it
But
as like your
48
next
hours,
starter.
yeah, 48
Part.
hours or 72 hours seems to be the magic number for people with non-celiac gluten sensitivity because
Okay.
the gluten proteins from when it's first mixed, I think it's like 89,000. It goes down to less than 20 parts per million, which makes it technically gluten-free.
wow, that's so cool.
Huh.
I think that's so cool.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really cool. Wow.
Um, the discard. There's
Mhm.
so much discard. Like it feels like throwing, some people throw it out. Other people don't want to feed as often because they don't want to have to deal with all that discard. Like, what can you do with discard?
Well, you have a pet dog, right?
Yeah, he poops and I put it in the garbage.
Right.
You put your discard in the garbage?
Well, compost, but yeah. No,
Okay.
maintain a smaller starter.
So how
Okay.
big is your starter?
Well, right now I made
Yeah.
it to make a loaf of bread. So
Gotcha.
sometimes I can do as little as like, I don't know, take out a teaspoon and add a tablespoon of water and 2 tablespoons of flour. That's it, like 25 grams. You can feed that
Okay.
daily or every other day. Um, like a stiff starter with like half the amount of water will keep happier longer. So you could feed every 2 to 3 days. Most pros, actually, you get more flavor from a sourdough starter when you use a little amount, and then it takes longer to ferment. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, yeah. You can keep it in the fridge. Some people do like a once a week big feeding, pop it in the fridge and just pull from it and make your leaven for the bread and do it that way. There's like
Hmm.
1,000 different, like people have this weird thing about food waste, but this is where you get to think about it as a pet. Like, because if you need to feed at minimum a 1 to 1 to 1, if you're doing 100 grams of flour, 100 grams of water, 100
Mhm.
grams of starter, you got 300 grams. So then the next day
Yeah.
you're 300, 300, 300. Then you
Mhm.
end up with buckets of sourdough starter. Then what are you going to do with it? So I've been on a kick with that sourdough gal's discard granola. Everybody seems to be in love
Mhm.
with it. So that's what I've been doing with my discard. Sometimes I'll keep it in the fridge for a week, anticipating like maybe I'll make pancakes or maybe I'll
Mm.
do the cinnamon buns from one of the Instagrammers. And it's like an overnight method. It tastes just like those ones in the tin, the Pillsbury tins.
Oh.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that one is neat because you grate the butter and you add it into the dough, so it gives it a little flakiness to it later.
Mm.
So yeah, there's many ways to do it, but if you just don't have the bandwidth to like forward think, I just throw it in the compost. Eventually it'll come back into our
Okay.
soil and yeah. We got
That's okay.
city,
Yeah, compost is all right. I can
yeah.
handle that.
Not down the
Compost?
drain, not like
Good.
garbage is fine
No.
too. Or you can also make dog biscuits. You
Mm-hmm.
could
Hmm.
also put seasonings and seeds in it and make crackers, like spread it out on
Hmm.
parchment.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, or you
That's
could
good.
save it for
Yeah.
like dehydrate it for any future use. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Would you recommend doing that? Like, let's say you were going on a trip and you couldn't take your sourdough with you. So let's say you're going to Europe for 3 weeks. Would you recommend drying out your sourdough in that case, or would it be fine to stick in the fridge for like
Yeah,
three
I would
months or
like, yeah.
three
So
weeks?
yeah, you
Mhm.
could do either. You could always, if you don't have backup dried, you could do that. You could do a higher ratio feeding, like a 1 to 8 to 1 to 10, like 10 grams of starter with 100 grams flour and water, and then let it get slightly active after like 2 or 4 hours, and then put it in the fridge. It will last for a good month, and you'll
Okay.
just take a few extra days feeding it, maybe just to get it rip roaring the way you want it. Some recover faster than others, but generally, if it's been well established, you shouldn't have any problems.
Okay.
Wow.
Cool.
You
That's
know what?
awesome.
We need to get onto this or that. Because as
All
much
right,
as I want
let's
to
do it.
learn about everything, we just won't have time.
But we can learn some because these are all sourdough. This is this or that sourdough edition
Okay,
anyway.
sourdough
So we
edition.
will keep learning, I think, along the way.
All right.
So
Good. Excellent. So, Claire, if you're happy to play this or that, we're going to just basically rapid fire some questions at you and you answer the first thing that comes into your head.
Okay.
Well, hopefully one of the answers that we've given. All right. Bake in the morning or bake at night?
Mm, I guess bake in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's my favorite time too.
Wake and bake.
Yeah, because then you have time to give to someone, like
That's
pop
true.
over. Yeah.
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 Or it's just perfectly ready for lunch, for a nice sandwich at lunch.
100%. Yeah.
Do you wake up and have your coffee and then start baking when you're still in your pajamas and housecoat?
Of course.
Yeah.
Are
I
you
don't know.
even a baker, Lisa? Are you even a baker?
That's
If
what
you
I
don't
do
do that.
every day. I'm like, oh, I need to film this for my Instagram. And I'm like, but I have my hair on top of my head and I am in my housecoat and very short nightgown that I don't want to film.
I grew up with a mom who would do that in the mornings,
Aw.
wearing her flannel.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
So
Although my
cute.
mom's not that young, but I grew up like it was 1950, the way she cooked at the times when we were little, right? So yeah, I always remember Christmas baking. She'd be in her pajamas and we would be in our pajamas till noon, rolling out cookie dough and things like
That
that.
sounds pretty good to me.
Fun. Great
Yeah.
Yeah,
memories.
I'm okay with
Great,
that.
great memories.
Never use an
All
apron
right.
anyway, so okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Next one. Dutch oven or baking stone? What's your preferred method of actually baking your sourdough?
Mm, I think it depends on the bread. Because you could do Dutch oven, which if you're only baking a little bit at a time, Dutch oven's great for consistency. As for a baking stone, well, what are you baking? Pizzas, or are you making artisan bread and you need to make 6 loaves at once and want to do an open bake? Like, it's two different techniques because you need a lot of
Okay.
steam for the open bake. So for some people's ovens, they can't handle the steam. It can actually wreck their oven. But lately, what I've been doing, yeah, I do Dutch oven. And I'm
Okay.
coveting the new Le Creuset Batard shape
Oh.
oven that just got released. I have the bowl shape, but now I'm like, oh darn it! Now I have to one more tool on the list.
That one was not on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that the truth?
Yep. Okay, weigh everything or eyeball it?
I weigh. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're looking for
think that-
consistency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't think you can
Makes-
eyeball stuff with sourdough.
You can, but you have to know by feel, and if you don't have the experience by feel, then like I can
Start
do
out
it.
by weighing.
In the UK, it's easier to do it because they sell their flour in 1 kilo packs, right?
Oh.
So
Mm.
that's easy.
Just
Whereas
like dump it in. Yeah.
yeah, whereas in North America, we probably have like 20 kilo sacks, and you're just like you can do it by feel, but personally, I weigh if you want consistency.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Makes
Yeah.
sense. All right. Are you a simple scorer or you are full on artistic designer when you're scoring your sourdough?
Simple. I don't have time for bread art.
Yeah. I mean, there are some amazing bread artists on
Yeah.
Instagram
Oh,
and
of course.
Facebook
Yeah.
and YouTube, and you're just like, ah, that's
Yeah.
incredible.
And most of them are yeasted, like most of them.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Mm.
and
That is
some
so
of those-
sneaky.
Yeah, some of those are with frozen dough, and they took 20 to 30 minutes to do. So
That makes total sense. Because
Yeah.
how do you, because I was like, because sometimes I'll try to do like a bit of a design on there, and it was like, then you can just start seeing your dough like, ooh,
Yeah,
right?
and with
And I'm like, okay,
yeah, with those doughs, you want to under ferment them because that will
Mm.
give you time and structure. A cold dough, a very sharp blade. Most people don't change their blades enough. And yeah, the techniques. Yeah, but like anything, it takes practice, right?
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah. And I've heard of doing like, and I've never tried this, but I've always been intrigued by it, like the 7 minute score, like,
Oh, yeah.
or do you, so 7 minute score is like where
Yeah.
it's at.
Yeah, so
yeah.
if you're scoring your bread and you start seeing it to collapse a bit, throw it in the Dutch oven, do the delayed score. You could do your pretty bread art, I don't know if you want to do that, and then throw it in the oven, do the 7, 8, whatever, and open it up. It really helps release the oven spring because most times we don't score deep enough. and that really helps. And the
What
angle,
does that mean? 7 minute.
put your
Like
dough in the
you,
oven for bake it, set a timer for 7 minutes, open the Dutch oven, score it again, and bake it for the final bread
So
time.
you just rescore along the same lines.
Yeah, or if I know the dough's overproofed and it's starting to sink, I'll throw it in the oven with the ovens, and then it'll create a bit of an oven spring, and then you score it to open it up. So like if you do a batard and the way you shape it's like this, it
Mhm.
will like open up like that.
Yes, yeah.
But if your batard is like oozing, just throw it in. Either throw it in a tin or hope for the best and see what happens.
fair, fair.
Yes, very fair. Okay. Classic boule or batard?
Uh, lately, I've been doing a lot of boules, but that's because our segment in school is ambient bakes, ambient
Okay.
boules. Yeah.
Hmm.
That's a good
Yeah. Either
reason.
which way, they're great.
I
Yeah.
want sourdough really badly right now.
Yeah, no kidding. Same, same.
Big slice
So,
of sourdough and put some avocado and some tomato slices and some like microgreens, and that's what
mm.
I want right now. Why do I not have it right now?
Sella,
Yeah, yeah,
your
Sayla,
mom
hurry
needs sourdough.
up. She's at work. Okay.
All right. Plain sourdough or loaded with all those delicious add-ins?
Well, those add-ins can actually be beneficial to upping the fiber and helping lower blood sugar response. So,
Oh,
yeah, I'm all for the add-ins, depending on what the inclusions are, right? So, but
okay. Chocolate and
Cheese.
yeah, I'm not a fan of chocolate sourdough. It's not my
no.
jam, but
Seems weird to me.
making porridges and adding that into your bake is
Oh,
good. Yeah, adding lots more fiber, amino omega
yeah.
3s, the vitamin
Hmm.
E, like all the things. Yeah.
All the good things.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah. I like
Blueberries and
that.
cream cheese.
Sounds good.
It does
Lemon,
sound good.
lemon, blueberry, cream cheese. Yeah, some people like to do the swirls, like a cinnamon
Hmm.
roll or
Mm-hmm.
cinnamon raisin. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are all good too.
I'm literally sitting here drooling. This is not fair. Okay, well, we already answered the next question, which is feed your
Yeah.
starter daily or fridge and forget it. So let's move on to
Let's do the next one.
long cold proof or same day bake.
I could do either. It just it depends.
On what else is going on
My
with your day?
thinking of everything is like the final product and what my goal is. So right now I'm ambient baking to keep up with the students that I'm
Hmm.
teaching because I hadn't done that since last term. But I think if I'm cooking for someone I know with intolerances, I'll retard it. Yeah.
Okay.
And when you mean ambient baking, or when you say ambient baking, what exactly is that?
Ambient is like room temperature, so it's the same day baking. Retard
Okay.
Okay.
overnight or
Gotcha.
delayed ferment. Yeah. So
All
yeah.
the terms, all
I
the
know.
terms,
It's
all
a
the
lot of
different things.
a lot of
And speaking of then that, one trusted method, or are you always trying new techniques or new ways of baking sourdough?
In the school we do trusted methods, like it's a process. Like how Vanessa set it up is like you know how we have cake method, muffin method, creamy method, all those ones. So she has the ambient method and retarder method. So that's the method we follow. And then the changing of the ingredients, she calls them formulas, which reminds me back in the 1900s where all the recipes were called receipts because you're just got the list of ingredients and you're supposed to know how to make bread or muffins or that, and it's just the things. So
Ah,
yeah, so as for new techniques, yes, I'm in a VIP sourdough group with Shannon in Kelowna, and she does all the fun things like once a month workshops. So she does like
that's fun.
Easter cinnabunnies, right? The little
Oh,
cinnamon rolls
fun.
shaped in bunnies and little like brioche bunnies and with like the Swedish sugar crystal or coarse sugar,
Mm.
things like that. So I keep up to date with the trends on social media doing those workshops. But yeah, I can go either route and yeah, we'll see.
So fun.
Yeah,
That's really fun. Okay. Raisins in sourdough. Yes or no?
sure. Why not?
Okay.
You gotta soak them in rum first or
Hey!
Oh, yeah,
Someone's paying attention. Yes, Yes,
Or
you
brandy I use a lot. Or
that would be
even
good.
tossing mincemeat. Do you have mincemeat? Throwing mincemeat in
Oh,
your
yeah,
raisins.
yeah.
Mm,
Yeah. Helps hydrate them, or plum jam. Yeah. Yeah.
That sounds really
yeah,
good.
Or currants. If
excellent.
people are a little weird about, I put currants in. Yeah.
There you go.
I
So you're
like
just
currants.
pleasing
I
us
might,
both.
yes. Yeah, you're making both of us so happy right now, Claire.
I didn't know there was like a huge like divide.
There's a huge divide.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually with regards to raisin or butter tarts in general, we usually have that. Just that's usually our last this or that.
Yeah.
Butter tarts. Do you
Yeah.
prefer raisins or no raisins?
Right.
So
Yeah,
so,
I
but we
saw
thought
your
we'd
I saw your post with that lady in England making butter tarts, and I messaged her. I'm like,
yeah.
you don't have the crust, you don't have this. Like, I got recipes if you want to try them out. Because all you guys have, I'm
Perfect.
like, I got the old Edith Adams like prize winning books and all the other ones.
Yeah.
I finally nailed it when my stepdad was like, "Hey, this tastes just like my mom's." So, like, you
Oh,
gotta have that
Oh,
thin cracker
yep,
crust on it.
what a
Make sure,
yep.
compliment.
yeah, yeah. So
That
that's
feels good.
Nice. And are
Awesome.
you a raisin person in your butter tarts or no raisins?
I sometimes do like mix of raisins and currants. It just depends how
Okay.
big the raisins are, right?
Yeah.
Like the Thompson versus like the really tiny or those weird jumbo ones from California. Yeah.
That's too much raisins.
No, no.
That's a
They
lot
have
of
to be a
raisin.
bite size, right?
Yeah.
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 That's why the currants I think work well in the tarts, right? Because
Yeah.
they're
The ratio. The
Oh, there
ratio.
was so much judgment
That
in
was a
that
big
face, Lisa
judging face coming
Stewart.
from me.
Oh my goodness. Oh no, I never judge. You
I
just
don't
did.
actually judge, but I reacted. It was just an automatic reaction, which was like, here she goes with the currents again. But I always picture like crunching into them, and I don't actually know what it would be like to have a currant in a butter tart. But
But you gotta soak them. Every
well,
dried fruit, you gotta soak them. If you
I
throw
don't know. I
rum or
don't know.
brandy on it, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
I mean, I guess I would be happy with that. I guess I just keep picturing like when you get a raisin and it has one of those little hard little crunchy things in it. That's what I picture when I think about having currants.
Mm.
Oh.
So then I'm like, no, I don't want a crunchy
The
hard
seeds
thing.
or the
Mm.
stem?
I, I
Remember
don't
back in the
know.
day, you would get raisins with the seeds still in them? Oh, that was the worst.
I forgot about that.
Oh,
Oh,
I
that's too much.
I
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
All right,
All
let's
right.
move on.
So, yeah, so we have like a true confession here. So have you ever, like, so when you've baked your sourdough, let's say you're baking a couple of loaves, you're keeping one for yourself and you're giving one to a neighbor. Have you ever kept the best loaf for yourself and then given your neighbor the, the just okay one?
No, I usually give the best ones to the neighbor.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Uh,
You're nice.
and if
You're
the
a
best
brilliant
one,
neighbor.
if the best one falls on the floor, I'll keep that one.
yeah, that makes sense. That makes
Oops.
total sense.
Yeah. I'll keep
That's
the
very
best one
kind
if
of
it
you.
fell on the floor, but no.
Okay.
But my goal is consistency, so I really like to try
Yeah,
to get all my loaves the same. So that
yeah,
Mm, yeah,
that's
that's
totally
great.
fair.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And have you ever blamed your starter when it was definitely your fault?
um
Poor Linda.
Poor Linda. No, I think in the first 6 months, I didn't really know any different. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't have blamed my starter. But nowadays, helping others, yeah, I blame your starter. If I have to get
All that
10 answers out of you to diagnose what's wrong with your bread, it's generally your starter. Yeah.
starter.
That makes
There
sense.
you
That
go.
makes total
Oh,
sense.
wonderful.
Oh, wonderful.
Well, Claire, it's been such a pleasure having you on Baking Scraps today. And I think you've really helped a lot of people, myself included, and hopefully Lisa's being inspired to try sourdough again.
Potentially.
Maybe, maybe.
Potentially.
Um, but hopefully that's what you're doing is inspiring the love for this beautiful art and a lot of science behind the
Mhm.
baking of sourdough. And so thank you for kind of demystifying some of the things for us, but also giving us some real good ideas of all the resources that are out there too. So thank you so much for that. We really, really appreciate that.
Oh, my pleasure. Yeah, I enjoy talking about all things baking. So I was like, the Great British Bake Off ladies are gonna invite me on to talk about sourdough. Like, do they even know who I was? I'm like, well, I kind of got an in with Dina, but yeah, no, it's great. It was great.
That's
Oh,
We gotta do a
you,
bake together or
That would
that
be
something.
would
fun.
be
I would fail
brilliant.
at it, but let's do it. Okay. That sounds
Anything. It could
fun.
be
Oh,
anything. I can make discard whatever. Actually, I should post it. I created like an angel food cake with my sourdough
oh,
discard.
Wow.
Have I ever made
I
it again? Nope. But now I'm like
oh,
intrigued to
I
try
would
again.
love to try that.
Impressive.
Angel
Yeah.
food cake is one of my favorite all-time cakes.
Oh,
That sounds
really?
So,
really
Oh,
good.
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
It's
that would be
so
amazing. So on that note, Claire, how can people find you and learn more from you on your sourdough, and then and also the sourdough school that you're part of?
so I'm Eau Claire, EAU, Claire. I think it's fine sourdough or sourdough fine. I don't know.
We'll post it as well. We'll
Yeah,
tag you,
Okay, yeah.
obviously.
yeah,
Yeah.
Claire Watson. And then the sourdough school. Let me just double check. I think it's the sourdough school. Um, yeah, the sourdough school is Vanessa's thing. Vanessa
Perfect.
Kimball, she's on there. But the sourdough school, the sourdough club, you'll find me on there. I think it's linked on my page on my Instagram.
Okay,
Yeah,
wonderful.
That's
yeah.
really awesome. And
Fantastic.
before we go, do you have a baking scrap for us, which would be like one tip or trick that would instantly make someone's sourdough better? I think it's the buddy trick, the buddy tip.
The buddy trick,
Have
a
a good
thermometer.
mentor.
Yeah.
Thermometer.
Oh, a
Yeah.
thermometer. Yeah,
Thermometer,
28 degrees, the thermometer. Generally, you can,
28 degrees.
yes.
Okay. I was
there you
like,
go.
was that the, see, I never wrote down the magic number. And I was like, what was the magic temperature number? And then I heard it again and I was like, was that the same number? But it
Yeah,
sounds
28
like it was.
degrees Celsius. Celsius. Yeah.
Okay, 28 degrees
80
Celsius.
degrees Fahrenheit, I think. Or no. Yeah, 80 degrees Fahrenheit, 28 degrees
That's
Celsius.
what we're aiming
Yeah.
for. Okay,
Yeah.
and that's for your dough,
Final dough temperature after
final
you mix
dough
it.
temperature.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much for hanging out
Amazing.
with us today,
Thank
Claire,
you.
and
Thank you.
giving us all this wonderful information. My head is spinning, but it's like with excitement and interest. So I appreciate it a lot.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good. Yeah. Hopefully it will get you in the
Thank you.
starter making you bread.
It might happen. Might happen because then I don't have to depend on my daughter to do it for me. She's
There you
busy.
go.
Thanks again. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Claire.
Bye.
Bye.
My head's a little
Oh,
spinning. So much,
I had
so much
no idea
information. No,
how much more complicated it can be.
I know we
And
didn't even
and
get through all our questions.
no,
I was like, wow. And
but
she would say things and I would be like, wait, I didn't. Okay, I had to rewind her a couple times just because I was like, if people are listening, I want to make sure that they are understanding. Because I mean, I know you have more of an understanding because you do sourdough
yeah,
more than I do. But I was just like, okay, this is great that I am not in a position to be like, yep, yep, I know exactly what you're talking about. I do that a lot with the other baking interviews that we do. But this time I was like, we need to just redefine,
yeah. Bring it
explain
back.
because yeah, bring it back. I want
Yeah,
it to be kind of like a starting from scratch sort of thing. And yeah, it is getting me interested in the idea of
yeah.
doing sourdough again.
See, and once you're in, I mean, you cannot beat a freshly baked loaf of sourdough bread. I mean, think regular bread
I
and how good
know.
that is. So it's like 10 times more enjoyable when you actually have a fresh loaf of sourdough.
I
It
am
smells
feeling,
so good.
I know it
I
does.
mean, when you get a loaf from your daughter,
Mhm.
how
Selah, I
amazing
need a
that
loaf,
is.
please. Selah. I also feel a little deceived by restaurants or certain other places that I might get sourdough from because, like, when I go to a restaurant and they're
Mhm.
like, okay, do you want white multigrain or sourdough? And I'm like, sourdough, please. Every
It's
time
hardly ever.
they give me sourdough, and then I'm like, it's probably not actually sourdough at all, and it's making me really sad. Soured.
Yeah, you may as well just have the white bread.
Ugh. No, I
Because
still like
really,
the
this is,
taste. I like the
yeah,
tang.
I still like the tang as
Yeah.
well. But I agree with you. I think, the fact that there is like, and I totally get it for bakeries that are doing high volume of these
Yeah.
breads. I can understand why it can't be like the regular process because it's just hard to do that. But I think, and especially these days, all the markets, all the farmers markets are out. And I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that some actual authentic sourdough bakers and artisans are going to be at these farmers markets that are just popping up everywhere right now,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
will be here till at least the fall. So that's
Well,
probably a good way of doing it, or finding your neighborhood sourdough baker,
I was
right?
in Powell River. I mean, I'm not in Powell River right now, but I was visiting my friend, and there was this beautiful bakery that I wandered into that had a gift shop attached to it. I don't know if it was like actually owned by the same person, but they were, connected. And I saw the bakers doing all these huge, beautiful sourdough loaves, and it was like entrancing to watch the
Hmm.
rhythm and the okay, and we do this, and we, flipping all the batards over, and all of this stuff was just so beautiful to watch. And
Yeah,
I was like,
it's
that
like a
is where I want
dance.
to go and get some real sourdough if my daughter will not bake it for me. But I'm sure that it's real sourdough. Why would they put yeast in there? I
Well,
mean,
like
they
Claire
don't
was
let
saying, it
people.
speeds up the whole proofing, and it
I
takes it from
know.
brings it down to 4 hours rather
Well, I'm trying,
than,
yeah.
you know,
I'm
24
trying to,
hours.
there's two different sourdough places when I look on Google, in Powell River, and I don't know which one it was, but I'm looking at
Mm,
Hearth and Grain right now, which looks so beautiful, and I am going to check their menu to see if they say that it's actual sourdough bread.
hmm.
Because,
Well, but here's the thing. Um,
oh, no,
it could be made with sourdough starter, but like Claire said, they add a certain percentage of yeast to it to
that
speed up the
depends.
process.
Depends on if it's
So,
in France, where it's law.
yeah. Yeah, which is odd there.
I am reading on their website, and they say made from organic white flour, red fife flour, salt, filtered water, and our natural sourdough starter. This is our basic loaf. They have a few different
Okay.
other loaves,
So
and it
no,
looks
they
like
don't
there's
talk
no
about
no yeast
actual
added.
yeast.
They have
Okay.
cranberry pecan sourdough.
Hmm.
$9. How do they justify only charging $9 for that?
I know, right? Like
Yeah,
when you think of all the time and all the ingredients and
the
the
expertise
time.
and the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the
I know.
time
I
and
always think about the
right.
time when I'm thinking about sourdough because I'm just like,
Yeah.
ugh.
I know. Well, it's like croissants too, right? Like
I
people
know.
are
I
like
also think,
five
ugh,
dollars, $5 for a croissant. And
yeah.
and it's so worth it because when you think about all the ingredients and all the time and everything that goes into it. But unless
Hmm.
you're most people are like, what do you mean it's $5 for a croissant
I
or
know.
$9 for a loaf of sourdough? But
Yeah.
a regular loaf of bread at your local grocery store costs you $7 now.
No, I know.
So
Yeah. Might as well have some beautiful sourdough.
yeah,
Anyway, she blew my mind in a good way.
totally.
I'm just
Hmm.
still like a little spinny from it all. It's
Yeah.
a lot of info and wonderful.
Yeah, and it's a good thing actually. There's so many great resources out there, and we'll link them. The ones that Claire talked about, we'll try
Yes.
to link some of those on our with our podcast,
With our podcast.
and also on our baking scraps page too when we
Fantastic.
promote this episode. So
Awesome. Well, this was a fun afternoon.
it really was. I'm
Yeah.
inspired now. I've got my starter out on my counter. It'd been sitting in my fridge for a little bit, so
Don't
I uh,
microwave it.
I will not. I will never ever do that again. Ever.
I was that was fun when she was like, "Oh, I've never heard that before." I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, that's funny."
Yeah, yeah. Well,
You did
I'm
great.
glad I could bring some comic relief to the baking scraps because
Yeah, because
we're
there's
pretty,
no
it's pretty serious around here most of
very
the time.
boring. Oh. I guess some people would think we're boring because we talk about baking. That's got to be boring for lots of people.
People who don't bake. Right, right.
Yeah.
But
Oh
I don't
well,
know.
we're
Yeah,
fun. I like us.
Yeah, I like us too. So
Excellent. High five.
there you go. High five to you too, buddy.
Have a lovely
Anyhow,
rest of your day.
yeah, you as well. We'll take it easy
Yeah,
and we'll see you next week.
sounds good. And to everyone else
Until
out
then,
there, happy
happy
baking!
baking.